Hey guys, welcome to our first session of Drop in Knowledge. So this is going to take place for our regular Friday night meetings. We are going to go into a little bit of a message, a little bit of a discussion. And one thing that's super important for these is that you guys need to have a Bible and a notebook. Because as you can see, we don't have our projector screen going. It's going to be more of just a conversation with a few little points where you guys can write stuff down. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about our topic. Before we get into today, obviously this is a little different. It is raw, this is one take, so I might stutter like I almost just did right there. I might go back, whatever. You guys deal with it every Friday, so you know what's going on. But today we are going to be talking about boredom, all right? Because a lot of you guys are sitting at home and your schedule is really open now. You don't have school, you don't have sports, your friends don't want you to get them sick, so they're not inviting you over anymore. So you guys have all this time in your schedule to do things, and we're going to talk about what do we do when all the stuff, the fun stuff that we like, gets a little boring. What are we going to do? So before we jump in, I'm going to read a verse for you guys. So if you have your Bibles, open that up. It's going to be in Proverbs. It's Proverbs 13:4. And it says, "The soul of the sluggard craves but gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied." So we're going to talk about how we become that soul of the diligent and how we get richly supplied. So before we start, I want you guys to do something with me, okay? So we are going to take our notebooks out, and you're going to write down what you did last Friday. So last Friday, most of you guys were still in school. If you weren't, go 2 Fridays back, and I want you to write down what your schedule looked like. It could look like 9 a.m. No, you guys go to school a lot earlier than that, right? Yeah, whatever. 7 a.m., wake up, go to school, go to these classes, eat lunch at noon, get out of school by 3, then you go home, you do homework till 5, you have dinner, and then your dinner after around 7 o'clock, you play some video games, whatever it is, you go to bed. So write that down, and then right next to it, I want you to write down what your day looked like exactly today. So when you woke up this morning, what did you do? What did you fill your time with in those moments after you woke up? So do that, come back in 2 minutes. Alright, welcome back guys. So, as you can see probably pretty clearly, last Friday or 2 Fridays ago is very, very different from this Friday. There's probably big gaps in your day where you have like 4, 5, 6 hours just sitting there waiting for something to fill it. And right now, it's probably getting filled with like the things you like to do, which are totally fine, like maybe Netflix, maybe some video games, maybe playing board games, maybe doing FaceTime with your friends, which is totally cool. But eventually that stuff, even the stuff that we love so much, gets old, right? Have you guys ever felt that before? I remember at one time when I was a little kid, the thing I wanted most in the world, and this was a long time ago, was a Lego set aircraft carrier, okay? I thought it was so sick, and it was like this big, huge Lego set, and it would roll around, and it had these little hinges that would come down, and you could lift the airplanes up to the flight deck, and there was like a rubber band, you could like shoot the airplanes off. It was incredible, and I begged for it, and begged for it for Christmas, and on Christmas Day, I woke up, I got the Lego set, and I was psyched. It's all I could do. I first had to build it, and I mean, this thing was massive, so it took me forever to build, and then I was just playing with it every day. I could wake up, and I'd adjust some things. I'd maybe take a tower down, maybe build something up here, send off a few planes, stuff like that. But even as much as I loved that Lego set, after 2, 3, 4 months, I got over it, right? I was bored with it. And even the things that we love, like I loved trampolines when I was a kid. I can't jump on them now because I'm too old. But the stuff that we love starts to get old after a while. And so I want to ask you guys, that stuff that you're filling your time with, it sounds like so much fun right now, and it's really, really good. But how long are we going to be in this situation where we may be stuck at home? How long are we going to be in this situation where we can't hang out with our friends and we have to fill that time? What are we going to do when those things that we love start to get a little bit old? And probably the thing that you guys will do first is you'll try different stuff, right? Have you ever been in that place when you're so bored where you're like, maybe I could just like stare at a wall for an hour, or maybe I could just like build a puzzle. First of all, who does puzzles, right? Does anyone do puzzles? Does anyone like puzzles? If you do, you're weird, but whatever. All right, people do puzzles, I guess. That's cool, okay? You just, I don't know, they're dumb. But anyways, so you can do those things, and like you're so bored, you're just searching for anything to do. And there was a guy in the Bible who had this exact same problem, and his name was Solomon. Now Solomon, you guys may remember, God came to him and they asked him, do you want riches? Do you want wisdom? or do you want to be the best king ever, right? Have a good military, have a good reign. And he said, I choose wisdom. And God said, I'm going to give you all those other things that you passed up. And so Solomon had it all. After he chose wisdom, people came to him for advice. People gave him gifts. His army was better than the Israelites had ever been, right? They rebuilt the temple. He did it all. And in Ecclesiastes, he starts off the chapter 1, verse 1 by saying, meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless, everything is meaningless. He was a really inspiring and fun guy to be around, okay? But the reason he said that is because Solomon had tried just about everything. If you go through the book of Ecclesiastes, we're not going to read it just for the sake of time, but he tried so many things. He tried just having fun. Like, hey, is the meaning of life having fun? Can I just go out, hang out with my friends, have parties, do all this stuff? He tried wisdom, knowledge. He already had a bunch, but he read books. He learned from scholars, and he said wisdom is meaningless. He tried work. He threw himself into his work, building the temple, building Israel, and he said, man, we toil for no reason. He tried achievements, recognition. He tried to bring in a bunch of friends and get accolades. He had riches. He had it all, and by the end of it, he said, man, it's meaningless, right? It's like chasing the wind. All this stuff that we do day in and day out, there has to be something more. So real quick, I want you guys to take another minute, and I want you to write down in that schedule that you have of your Friday that's wide open, write down the things that you filled your time with. Is it Netflix? Is it movies? Is it video games, board games, FaceTime with friends, TikTok? Write down those things that you've noticed that you're spending all your time in, and we'll come back after we do that. Okay, cool. So we're back, and we have a list of the things that we are putting our time into. And like I said earlier, that stuff is not bad, right? Like, I watch Netflix. I don't play video games. I tried Fortnite once, and I played in playground mode for 2 hours and didn't realize there was no one else there, so I gave that up. But I read books. I do a lot of that other stuff too. So it's good. I don't want you guys to think that I'm putting that down. That stuff is good and fun. But just like Solomon said, there has to be something more, right? And so I want you to look at that list, and I want you to see in that day, where do we have our time for Jesus, right? It's funny that sometimes when we get in these bad situations, like, and we can look around and know that America's not doing well, right? The coronavirus is shaking things up. And sometimes when we get shaken, the things that we put our trust in, the things that we lean on, that we run to when things are bad, they get revealed to be not that great, right? And we start to maybe doubt why we had our trust in that in the first place. And God says that if we put our trust in Him, He is a firm foundation, right? He is our rock. And so I want to encourage you guys to not look at this as a time where we're just going to try and do anything and everything we can to fight off the boredom, but as an opportunity to maybe give God some time that we didn't have in the beginning, right? So Solomon writes about this, and after he goes through all those things we listed, the things he tried to do to fill his time and fill his days, in Ecclesiastes 12:1, he says, this is the solution. He said, remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in any of this, right? So when we get to that point where we've done everything that we can to have fun, we've done everything we can to get that puzzle finished, whatever, right? What are we going to do? And the answer is we need to remember our Creator. Now, what does that mean to remember our Creator, right? It's not like anyone, or he's saying like, oh, I just totally forgot Jesus existed, right? He knew that. But how many times have we said that we're going to do something for God? Have we said in our mind, yeah, I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes every day, I'm going to read my Bible, and I'm going to pray. I'm going to give God my time in the car with worship. I'm going to give God this, and that. And then we forget, right? Or our day gets so busy, we're like, hey, I'm going to wake up in the morning, do devotions, and go to school, but we wake up a little bit late. It's like, oh man, I'll do them after school, but then we have a ton of homework. And then we're like, I'll do them after dinner, but then our parents let us go to bed, right? Well, my parents don't do that anymore, but yours do. And we forget, right? We forget what we promised we were going to do for God. And the fact of the matter is, if we are not intentional with filling our time with the things that we should be, the things that we want, something else will fill it, right? There's never just a time in our life where we're sitting, we're just like, oh, I'm just doing nothing, right? Like eventually we pull out our phone, Instagram, we pull out Netflix, right? We go to TikTok and we just scroll, and sometimes we wake up and like, man, why was I even on here? I forget, right? So we need to be intentional and remember the things that we promised to God. And so I want to challenge you guys with something this week. And the challenge is, I'm doing it myself too, is I want you to look at that day that you have. because this might be our lives for the next like month or 2 months. I want you to look at that, and I want you to find a place where you can put Jesus time, all right? Okay, so find a spot. Maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's in the afternoon, maybe it's after dinner, but you need to find a spot where you can intentionally say, I'm going to remember my Creator in this time, and I'm going to give him the things that I said I was going to give him, and I know I should, right? So pencil that into your book. Say 9 o'clock is Jesus time till 9:30 or 9:15 or whatever it is. Pencil that in for God, right? And then do it every day until we meet again next week. And the other thing that I want to encourage you guys to do is to not lose the community that we've built here at junior high, right? Jesus comes first. Obviously, we need to give him the time that he deserves. And right now we have the best opportunity to do that. But the second thing is God said that we're supposed to be a body of Christ, right? We're supposed to come together and help each other. And right now it's really hard to be with you guys. I miss you so much. Like, it's Friday. This is usually when I'm gearing up for junior high group. And it sucks knowing that I'm not gonna be able to see you guys and meet with you guys here and play games and do a message and all that stuff. And I know your leaders feel the same way too. And your friends that come here, they miss you. So how are we going to keep that community going? And our best plan right now is, like I said, we're moving things online. We have a schedule of things we're doing every day of the week. So I wanna encourage you guys to join us with that. Check it out on our Instagram. Go to YouTube, search up Grove Junior High. You can find us there. But guys, we want to stay connected with you. We want to make sure you're doing okay. We want to make sure your family's okay. And we want to keep the relationships going that God has given us. So 2 things for you guys to be challenged on this week to do, right? Find a time where you can give Jesus the moments he deserves. And stay connected with us. We live in a world where Steve Jobs made everything connected, and so we can like go on FaceTimes, we can go on YouTube, we can go on Instagram, find us there and stay up to date with the stuff we're doing, because when we come back after all this is over, we want to pick up right where we left off. With that being said, we are having a main game tomorrow on Saturday. We are posting an in-home scavenger hunt. I don't know why I stumbled on that. Anyways, in-home scavenger hunt, all right? So we're gonna post the list at, let's say, 11 a.m., okay? 11 a.m. we're gonna post the list, and you guys are gonna have all the items you need to get. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take pictures or videos, whatever it requires, and you're gonna send those to us, okay? You can send them to us at colton@sdgrove.org, colton@sdgrove.org, or on Instagram. All right, so send us those pictures, send us those videos, and if you win, if you are the first student to get all the points or the most points, you will get 10 tickets to our AirPod raffle. So that's still on. We're still going to waste some AirPods. They probably come in handy right now if you're just listening to music. But check in tomorrow, 11 a.m. We're going to post that. It's going to be super fun. We'll see you guys there.